The Enigma of Jeffrey Epstein, a legacy of power and pain. Jeffrey Epstein was a financier with immense wealth, a private island, and a network of powerful friends, presidents, princes, and industry titans. Beneath this glamorous facade, Epstein was orchestrating a predatory sex trafficking operation, targeting vulnerable young women and girls. For years, he used his connections and resources to remain untouchable, luring victims with false promises and trapping them in cycles of abuse. The shocking scope of his crimes and the failure of institutions to stop him exposed how power and money can shield the darkest secrets. A controversial plea deal in Florida let him escape serious consequences, allowing his abuse to continue for another decade. Only after his 2019 arrest did the world begin to grasp the true extent of his network and the pain he caused. Epstein's story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about wealth, privilege, and justice in our society. His death in a Manhattan jail cell only deepened the mystery, fueling public debate and suspicion. Why did so many powerful people associate with him? What did they know? How could such a high-profile prisoner die under mysterious circumstances? These questions ensure Epstein's dark legacy and the demand for accountability will not fade anytime soon. The Gilded Circle. Epstein's friendships with the elite. Epstein's power was amplified by his extraordinary connections, two former U.S. presidents, Donald Trump and Bill Clinton among them. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Epstein and Trump were often seen together at elite parties, with Trump once calling Epstein a terrific guy. Clinton's association included multiple flights on Epstein's private jet, the Lolita Express, for Clinton Foundation trips, though he insists these were strictly philanthropic. Epstein's circle extended to royalty, like Prince Andrew, and to top scientists, academics, and tech moguls. He used his wealth to fund research and host gatherings, gaining legitimacy and access to influential circles. These relationships weren't just for show, they shielded Epstein, making it harder for victims to be believed. When young women tried to speak out, they faced a man with presidents and princes on speed dial. Epstein's network created an illusion of invincibility, enabling his crimes and silencing his victims. The story of his powerful friends is inseparable from the story of his crimes. Shifting tides: how powerful friends reacted to the scandal. When Epstein's crimes became public, his powerful friends scrambled to distance themselves. Trump, once a vocal admirer, claimed he was not a fan and downplayed their friendship. Clinton's team emphasized their interactions were limited and professional, stressing he hadn't spoken to Epstein in over a decade. Prince Andrew's disastrous BBC interview only deepened suspicion, leading to his withdrawal from public duties. Across the board, former associates denied knowledge of Epstein's crimes and minimized their connections. Their public relations machines went into overdrive, rewriting history to avoid being tainted by association. This collective distancing revealed the transactional nature of these relationships. Epstein was valuable until he became a liability. The speed and coordination of their denials raise questions. Did they truly know nothing, or did they choose to look away? The public is left to wonder what truths remain hidden. The fallout exposed just how quickly loyalty evaporates when scandal strikes. The final chapter: a mysterious death and a storm of conspiracy. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell, awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. The official ruling was suicide, but a series of bizarre failures, Epstein taken off suicide watch, guards asleep, cameras malfunctioning, sparked immediate suspicion. The hashtag #Epstein didn't kill himself went viral, symbolizing widespread belief that Epstein was silenced to protect powerful associates. Conspiracy theories pointed fingers at political figures from both parties, fueled by the lack of clear answers from authorities. The public's distrust of institutions made the idea of a cover-up seem more plausible than incompetence. Epstein's death became a symbol of a corrupt system where the powerful are protected and the truth is buried. For many, the timing and circumstances were simply too convenient to accept at face value. The cloud of suspicion over Epstein's death remains, keeping the case alive in the public imagination. The mystery endures, fueling calls for transparency and justice. In response to public outcry, the Department of Justice and FBI launched investigations into Epstein's death. Official reports cited negligence and protocol failures, but found no evidence of foul play, supporting the suicide ruling. Yet, skepticism persisted, especially after Trump amplified conspiracy theories, turning the tragedy into a political weapon. The two guards on duty were charged with falsifying records but avoided prison, reinforcing perceptions of a system unwilling to hold anyone truly accountable. For many, this leniency felt like another cover-up. The divide between the official story and public suspicion has become central to Epstein's legacy. The case now stands as a symbol of a justice system that seems rigged for the powerful. The truth, for many, remains just out of reach. In early 2024, a federal judge ordered the unsealing of a vast trove of Epstein-related court documents. These files, tied to survivor Virginia Giuffre's lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell, revealed nearly 200 names from depositions, flight logs, and legal records. While inclusion didn't imply guilt, the documents offered new context and details about Epstein's network, spanning presidents, tech billionaires, celebrities, and academics. Notable names included Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, and others, though no explosive client list emerged. The unsealing was a victory for transparency and for survivors seeking validation. Journalists and the public gained new material to scrutinize, fueling renewed calls for accountability. For survivors, the release marked another step toward justice and exposed the network that protected Epstein for so long. The conversation, and the pressure for answers, continues. Florida's 2008 plea deal with Epstein remains a defining failure in the case. Despite facing federal sex trafficking charges, Epstein pleaded guilty to lesser state charges, serving just 13 months with generous work release privileges. Brokered by then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, the deal shut down a federal investigation and granted immunity to potential co-conspirators. In 2024, a new anti-trafficking law led to the release of grand jury records, revealing how prosecutors downplayed the abuse and number of victims. The documents reignited outrage and calls for reform, confirming suspicions that Epstein's wealth and influence manipulated the justice system. The failure in Florida enabled Epstein to continue his abuse for another decade. Ongoing legal battles and new laws aim to prevent such miscarriages of justice in the future. The shadow of the plea deal looms over the entire saga. At the heart of the Epstein saga are the survivors, young women whose lives were forever changed by his abuse. For years, their voices were dismissed or ignored, overshadowed by Epstein's power. Women like Virginia Giuffre, Courtney Wild, and Sarah Ransom bravely shared their stories, putting a human face on the horror. Their testimony was crucial in building legal cases and exposing the sophisticated tactics Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell used to groom and control victims. Survivors became advocates, fighting in court for truth and transparency, and forcing the release of key documents. Their activism kept the case in the public eye and pressured law enforcement to pursue every lead. The courage of these women inspired broader conversations about sexual abuse, power, and the importance of believing victims. Even as headlines focused on Epstein and his powerful friends, it's the survivors' voices that form the moral core of this story. Their resilience is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. The fight for justice continues, driven by their determination. They are the reason this case matters. In a case as sensational as Epstein's, separating fact from speculation is crucial. Many claims have linked high-profile figures to Epstein's crimes, but few are backed by concrete evidence. Trump's name appears in flight logs and depositions, but no testimony or document directly implicates him in Epstein's sex crimes. Clinton's association is well documented, but the unsealed files did not prove his involvement in abuse. Both men deny knowledge of Epstein's wrongdoing, and official investigations have found no direct evidence against them. The gap between public suspicion and proven fact keeps the case alive in the public imagination. The demand for full transparency and accountability remains, as the case is about more than one man. It's about a system that enabled him. Until every victim feels justice is served, the search for the untold truth will go on.